I'm Callista Lucy, Keeper of the Archive at Dulwich College since 2007. The object I have chosen is Muniment 22, the contract between Philip Henslowe and his stepson-in-law Edward Alleyn on the one hand, and Peter Street, a master carpenter, on the other. You can see Peter Street's entwined initials at the bottom of the contract. The contract is written on parchment by a scribe. It was drawn up in 1600 and is technically an indenture, as the contract was written out twice and the two identical halves were separated by an indented line. Both parties to the contract would keep a copy. If there is a dispute, the two halves are brought back together to make a full and binding contract. This contract was for the building of the Fortune Theatre, and the date is very significant. The previous year, the other London theatre company, the Lord Chancellor's men, had moved their theatre from Shoreditch, where their lease on the land had run out. The theatre, as it was known, was dismantled as Tudor buildings were made from mortice joints with wooden pegs, which simplified moving them. It was re-erected opposite the Rose, Henslowe's first theatre, on Rose Alley, so in direct competition, and was renamed the Globe. The Rose was by this date looking rather dilapidated. Not to be undone, Henslowe and Alleyn decided to build a new theatre and employed the same carpenter to build it in Golden Lane, near the present-day Barbican. They borrowed from the Globe in their design. You can clearly see the references. The Fortune was to be like the Globe, 85 feet across on the outside and 55 feet across on the inside. The contract describes the galleries, the stage, the attiring house, and the decorations. The contract specifies all new materials. Henslowe and Alleyn were throwing their money at this project and emphasising that the Globe was built of recycled wood. The description of the stage is interesting, as they stipulate deal or pine, a resinous, coarse-grained, soft wood, which was ideally suited. Alleyn, as an actor, would have been aware of the need for a surface with grip. When Shakespeare's Globe was reconstructed on Bankside, they made the stage of oak, which looks splendid and allows scenery and props to glide on and off smoothly. However, the actors, in their traditional leather-soled shoes, sandals and boots, often slipped on the oak stage. They have tried painting it, strewing it with rushes or caulking it, but they still slipped, so now the footwear has untraditional rubber soles. The back of the document is fascinating as it gives much more detail about the building process. Each time Henslowe and Alleyn had made a payment against the contract, they have noted the details and asked Peter Street to initial receipt. So we learn that the wood was cut in Windsor Great Park. The timbers were then all shaped and the frame was fabricated and erected on site. Once they were happy with the outline and that it was all going to fit together, it was dismantled and floated up the Thames on barges and moved by wagons to the site. We also learn that in June 1600 the weather was poor and rain had turned the building site into a quagmire. The work had come to a standstill. This was deeply frustrating to the businessman Henslowe, who wanted to see some revenue coming back into his coffers. It was vital to have the theatre open in the popular theatre-going summer months. Henslowe and Alleyn buy a round of drinks for the builders to encourage them to get back to work. Muniment 22, which is housed in the archive at Dulwich College, is interesting not only as an example of an early building contract, but also because of what it tells us about Tudor building techniques and the light it shines on the underlying rivalries between the theatre companies in the early English period.